Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far, and things are getting pretty heated with regard to the Volk, the new weapon that was introduced to the meta by Spart alongside Los Angeles Guerrillas championship victory in Major 2, but some pros seem to think it's too strong to be used in the current iteration of the game. Will it get GA'd? Some certainly don't seem to agree. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy the video, subscribe if you were new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. Really upset the channel, thank you very much indeed for doing it. This is a lovely little clip here from Zero. That no scope was disgusting, doesn't get the third kill though, unfortunately, but plenty of things to dive into today. Firstly, this from Crone, slight spawn adjustments in today's update. We discussed yesterday the fact that the Optic guys weren't all that happy with the spawn changes that went down not long before the event, in fairness, like a week or so before the major went down, that may be attributed to some degree towards some of these strange upsets and strange results that we saw at the major. Slight spawn adjustments in today's update for Tuscan hardpoints. Of course, that really has been one of the key concerns, that third hardpoint, right, like as they just say right here, adjusted hardpoint spawn locations to be slightly further away from the third hill. We saw a few occasions where the spawns kind of got tweaked there, and people are spawning all over the shop, and it's absolute chaos over towards that P3 on Tuscan, and also adjusted control initial spawn locations to be slightly further back. So I guess maybe adjusting the timing slightly on Tuscan, and also on Gavutu, adjusted control spawn locations to avoid putting the player in immediate danger. So I guess sometimes it can happen in control, you spawn in, immediately you're in the line of sight. There definitely are some strange spawns in control, especially on the defensive side, or I guess on the offensive side as well, when they're pushed heavily into your spawn, you can just spawn all over the shop. So honestly, it's a bit of a strange one. Hopefully we do get a third control map. I imagine a lot of the pros right now kind of taking a bit of a time off, like a week or so off, and then they'll get back into scrimming and try and figure things out over the coming weeks. But I imagine some roster stuff's going down as well. We might touch on that slightly later today also. This just to mention real quick, because I thought it was pretty funny, right? When Enable basically said he'd eat his own meat on stream if Los Angeles Guerrillas won, when they're up 2-0 versus Boston here, they go, of course, game 5, they win that one. They win the grand finals as well. But, Satchel was like, look, Enable, so it's 2-1, and you obviously can't follow through with what you said for obvious reasons on Twitch. Could be some problems there. What are you going to do? Shave your head bald or something? Maybe I could bump you up to B tier, right? So I think Enable did this kind of tier list of ARs. Slasher was in like the D tier alongside Octane or something, and now he's maybe up to the B tier or something. So yeah, congratulations all involved. Them Trillies at the combat are hitting different. Now, of course, this is really funny, just to kind of segue into the Spart discussion surrounding the Volk. Since it came up with this story, and some people were saying, is this actually true, or is he kind of falsified this to a degree just for effect for the timeline? But I'm inclined to believe that something like this occurred. It was Sunday at Minnesota, and I was playing blackjack at around 12 PM. Out of nowhere, Spart comes up behind me, grabs my shoulder, and says, I'm going to World Star Florida, smoke your team. I guess he was on Boston, right, as a substitute now, so Boston, and then win this event. Then he walked away and won the event. So, I've almost reads like a copy pasta, doesn't it? It's just fantastic. As Doug says, true story, felt like sharing. Huge fan of people who take an opportunity and run with it. Life is a game of highs and lows. It's about how you handle your situations that define your legacy. So, Doug out of control again, but pretty good story. But of course, Spart this weekend, right? He comes in, changes up the meta substantially, brings the Vulcan up against Boston Reach in the first series they played. It was kind of funny, really, because Spart was using it to great effect. You can see right here, he's 15-6 on a 2 streak, gets some more kills as well. That's a great game. Kills this guy as well. But at this point, they're down 2-0. They go on to lose this map as well and get 3-0. So everyone's like, okay, look, well, nicely done, Spart. You got a few kills, but is the Volk really that good? Or, still got 3-0 at the end of the day, didn't you? Of course, as the tournament progressed, we found out the Volk was actually rather good and viable. So Spart said, I think Slasher was saying that coming into the tourney, Spart had been using it a fair bit in challenges. He felt like it was pretty good, wanted to give it a go, felt pretty comfortable. The team thought, okay, yeah, go ahead and use it, right? You might as well get as comfortable as you can be, given you're just a sub on the team. I don't really have crazy expectations for the success of the squad. This is what Arcitys said a couple of days ago, though. The Volk is the most absurd gun. It does it all. Has strafe, has fleet, headshot multiplier, go bruh, top 2 gun ever. So yeah, the headshot multiplier is this kind of key discussion point we'll have here in a second that the pros seemingly have kind of dived into as the reason why this gun might just be too strong at the present time. Now, even as TJ says, someone let me know when the Volk gets GA'd. So a lot of the pros were expecting it to go. I think we saw in the media aftermath of the event that they wanted it to go. And of course, if you guys have been following for a few years, you'll remember back to the Fort Worth event in 2019 when Classic pulled out the Ramparts, and no other team could really keep up with the meta change the Classic brought out to that event. He was way better with the Rampart to that event than he's pretty much been at any other event for his entire career. I feel like this event, Spart was still pretty good when he had to use other weapons. We'll look at the stats though here in a second. He was certainly better with the Volk. So it is kind of a Classic Rampart situation, maybe not to quite the same degree. I'm pretty sure the Rampart ended up getting nerfed, but also the pros wanted to GA it in the immediate aftermath of the event because, look, if a team comes through with a new meta gun and wins the event, all of a sudden the other pro teams are kind of understandably going to say, okay, hang on a second, maybe we want to do something about this. Maybe they're not right to do so, but it's going to be a thought process process that goes through their minds. So I'm sure a lot of pros right now are looking for reasons to get rid of the Volk and get it out of the meta and go back to the kind of boring two-gun meta that, well, unfortunately we've been experiencing for the last few months, but the pros that apparently want to get on board with this, right? Some obviously don't agree. Spart is saying, look, hang on a second, right? And even Call of Duty League come out and say, please don't, keep it in for the fans. Of course, the COD League, I guess in theory, could say, look, we're not going to allow you to do GAs. If you guys are new to this kind of term, gentlemen's agreements, the idea is that the pros, if they think something is too powerful or reduces the skill gap or something to that effect, they can decide between them, like, well, maybe they should or shouldn't, that's another question mark, but I think at times it does have its place. They can decide between them that, okay, this thing is gone, it might not be officially banned, but we're like going to agree between us not to use it. The thing is, I think that's viable in cases where things are just way too strong or way too overpowered. But like in the case of the Volk, you would very rarely see more than one on a particular team at any point, right? You can't run 4 Volks and get away with it, I don't think. Maybe the pros have figured it out in practice, you can, but like in terms of long range engagements, it doesn't have the recoil control to be able to handle it. In close range, you need the pace of an SMG. So I feel like you're maximum going to see 1 or 2 Volks on a map, and at times you're seeing 4 autos on maps like Gavutu. So to me, that kind of argument doesn't necessarily stack up that it's too strong when you're not seeing them all over the shop. The example I always use is back in World War II, there was a gun called the ITRA brought in. It was a 4-round burst M8 type style weapon effectively, and in Search and Destroy, when that was brought in, every team was using like 4 ITRAs on the map. So the pros decided, okay, that's ridiculous, let's just go back to the STG bar and PPSH, which maybe was a viable option. But in this case, I thought that Volk had a nice bit of complication to the meta. Spart doesn't agree, of course, that it should be gone. Chris is, Spart is also saying in reply to, us, he's like, shut up, don't get it banned, please, because we want to, of course, still use it. And of course, if you look at the guys on Los Angeles Guerrillas, I'm sure they're kind of keen to keep it in, given the success they had, if Spart is going to still be on their roster, which you would imagine he would be after the success they had. There's also some interesting stats here, as Carson points out. Spart during Major 2 with the Volk was their 213 in 185 with a 1.15 KD. Without the Volk, he had a 0.98 KD. So pretty interesting. Definitely more comfortable with the Volk. Maybe implies the Volk is significantly stronger than the other weapons in the game right now. But of course, in his particular role, maybe that suits him particularly well, right, in that kind of flex position, and especially on the maps they were playing, the Volk seems to be a very good weapon. Is this enough to say, okay, it's 100% way too strong and has to go? Probably not, but at the same time, we've got to look at the actual statistics here. So as Attach says, the COD League just told me this tweet will decide if the Volk stays out, gets GA'd or stays in. Of course, retweak and there is a feature attached, I don't know if you've heard about it, called a poll. It's pretty useful, but this is good for engagements or whatever. But anyway, the community is going to GA the Volk according to this at the very least. But I believe some of the pros were asking Exclusive Ace to look into this and kind of say, okay, how does it actually stack up against the other weapons? Like in terms of shots to kill, is the Volk actually too strong with this class that Spart's come up with here, with their flash hide or whatever it is? These are the statistics from the Exclusive Ace video, kind of about breaking down the competitive ranges of these weapons. So, as you can see, the Volk auto to 5-shot kill from close range, the Volk to 4-shot kill, the MP40 relative to the close range is a 3-shot kill, right? So the MP40 absolutely melts up close, the Volk is a 4-shot kill way out to a range. So, definitely close range, the MP40 is better, but probably from this range or something, then the Volk becomes better in the auto at long range. Of course, the auto, has incredible accuracy and a higher fire rate than the Volk does, so I think it's probably more viable in terms of, it's a more forgiving weapon in a sense, the auto, right? Like you can miss a bullet here or there, and you're still going to mow through them. And in terms of recoil profile and stuff like this, the auto is also easier to use. So I feel like the Volk isn't just going to replace the auto, and it's not going to replace the MP40, which to me says maybe it shouldn't be gone. But there are other reasons why you might want to say it should be gone, because as we go on to dive into, these are kind of competitive stats, ADS time, sprint up time, this type of stuff. There are a few kind of, the Volk has a slight advantage over the auto in certain situations. ADS time, for example, like at movement speed, right, the strafe speed is certainly higher than the auto, and even the MP40, right, ADS movement speed is really quick, and sprint movement speed kind of between the two. So it's almost like a hybrid between the two weapons, which you would think would be a reasonable place for kind of a flex type weapon to be. However, this is kind of the potentially damning statistics that the pros are looking at to figure out what gun is way too strong, because it's the headshot multiplier on the Volk which is putting this really into question right now. So effectively the headshot multiplier very high in this game. In previous Call of Duty hasn't been too much of a factor, but in this game, if you mix one headshot in it, last year it was a thing as well, right, with the Krig. Like early on, if you just put one headshot in with 3 body shots, you'd get a 4-shot kill with the Krig. I think they then changed it had to be 2 headshots, 2 body shots, but it's a pretty big factor, to be honest. If you mix one headshot in with your kills, then all of a sudden the Volk becomes incredibly good up to about 40 meters. So as you can see, with one headshot in, the Volk actually comes down to a 3-shot kill. So it was a 4-shot kill for this entire range. One headshot takes it down to a 3-shot, which and the MP40 doesn't get changed at all really by headshots. So all of a sudden on this evidence, the Volk is just way too strong. Like, well, the Volk is so good with the one headshot all the way up to 40 meters. It's the best gun. You've got to consider the other factors though, the recoil and these other things that we just talked about. But with one headshot, it is incredibly good. So I think the pros are probably looking at this and saying, well, I'm going to second here, lads. Like, you know, throwing one headshot and the Volk is just so strong and you can get absolutely insta-melted with it. Maybe this does make it too strong in this type of situation. Of course, it isn't always the case that you're hitting headshots, but in this situation, it is obviously very strong. So I could understand the pros are looking at this saying, okay, adds maybe a bit too much randomness, right? Because if a headshot gets thrown into the gunfight, all of a sudden you're getting a 3-shot instead of 4 and you're gunning people from a significant range. And yeah, maybe that creates a bit too much randomness. That might be an understandable thing from the pros' perspective. Of course, look, in an ideal world, the pros say, hey, look, the Volk, we kind of want to use it, but the headshot multiplier is making it somewhat unusual in these situations. Can, you know, to the developers, can you just tone down the headshot multiplier, please? Of course, the fact of the matter is, like, well, if that ever happens, it won't be because the pros said it and they won't be able to turn that around within a few days or so. So that's why these GAs generally come into play. But yeah, very much intrigued to your perspective on this because I think it's very much splitting the community. I think a lot of people are hoping the Volk will stay in, but looking at some of the statistics, you got to say that in certain situations, it does seem to be rather too strong. But I also think the argument that the fact that this weapon isn't going to fully replace the auto or the MP40, regardless of how good it is, more than likely, if the Volk isn't just going to replace the auto and it becomes a 2-gun meta still, then there's a good argument to keep it in regardless. But yeah, this was kind of the Volk class if you guys want to try it out a rank play or whatever. Of course, it's not going to get a GA'd over there, at least officially. But yeah, definitely intrigued to your perspective. Lots of talk on this the last few days. The pros don't seem completely convinced. FaZe seemingly want it gone. Don't really know the opinion of the other teams, but Los Angeles Guerrillas, you'd imagine, wanted to stay. Some interesting hot takes here just to close out the video. I thought this was kind of funny. Royal Wraithman's come out with the Black Ops 3 as a top 5 Call of Duty. Obviously, like they're just joking around here, right, and saying, wow, it was a super hot take, even though, you know, I think the hot take would be that it's top 1. Octane gives his top 5: Infinite Warfare, World War II, Modern Warfare, Vanguard, and Call of Duty 3. Absolutely phenomenal list here from Octane. But, you know, this also from Lyman. Advanced Warfare was the best year for competitive Call of Duty. Thought this is a nice take, to be honest, kind of an interesting one. There were so many events that year. Like, there was just so much Call of Duty happening all the time. It wasn't just kind of MLG. Well, the CWL didn't even exist then, right? It was just like a load of other tournament organizers could come through and make events. Like, well, very entertaining game, a very entertaining affair. And speaking of Los Angeles Guerrillas, they did a beautiful video out on their YouTube yesterday, kind of breaking down the comms through their entire championship run. I thought it was incredible to hear what the team was kind of up to behind the scenes, what they were talking about, and the confidence they were building as the run progressed. But very much intrigued to your thoughts and all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit a like button. Tell us YouTube gods, this is a good video. Others like you should see it as well. And help grow the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you as always. Take care of yourselves. And I will see you next time.
Got some there as well.
I gotta practice hot, bro.
Oh, deep arch for you. Not hurt.
You know the spawn trap glitch on this map?
Which one?
If you run up to fire and look at the wall on the stairs, they spawn in the back P3 heady over and over again.
Noted. I've been on. He's going, yeah.
Literally just have to lick the wall and they'll keep spawning there.